us. We're talking, I guess, about autumn, the autumn season, all of these things that autumn brings, how we feel about the season itself, and just in general about the season that we're living in right now. So let's maybe just start by asking the question, do you like the season of autumn? Denise, do you like autumn?
Yes, I am, but only if weather is rather good, because to my mind, autumn is the one of the probably most sad season if weather is bad. Because in a spring, rain feels not so hard as in autumn. But with sunny weather, with yellow leaves, autumn is perfect time.
Okay, so that's what you're defining as it just sunny weather and having the leaves, and I mean, so it's not too cold, it's not rainy. Is that what you're pretty much saying? It's okay as long as there's no rain and there's sunshine.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Elia, what about you? Do you enjoy autumn?
I like not all the autumn, but I really enjoy September, the beginning of autumn. It's my favorite month of the year because there are lots of fruit and vegetables. Everything is so tasty and beautiful. Everything is around and not so hot like in summer. So I think that the beginning of autumn is really great part of the year.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Let's get to the next. Well, I personally do enjoy autumn. I like the weather. If it's cold, if it's kind of on the warm side, it's all pretty good as far as I'm concerned. The next question is, what do you call this season? Do you call it fall or do you call it autumn? Do you call it both? Elia, what about you?
Usually I call it autumn. As far as I remember, fall is American variant. Am I right?
Yeah, it is. But I mean, just because there is so much international presence of the American English language, you get fall in very many things. You know, you like fall behind with a time change or something like that. But you're correct. So you say autumn. Denise, what about you? What do you call the season?
For me, I usually use autumn because that was a first word I know about this version firstly when I started in school. But when I start reading articles or some press for last time, I usually meet fall and start using also fall to define this season.
Okay, I primarily use autumn. I think I already pretty much always have. Fall, of course, is something that you'll find quite often, like you mentioned, Denise, you know, in just media and writing and everything else. And it's just, I don't know, because it's an easier word to say than autumn. It's an easier word to spell than autumn. I don't know why it's so popular, but it just kind of is. And I think you just kind of think of leaves falling in autumn. And so fall seems like a pretty logical word for the season. I don't know why, but it just kind of is. So that's just one of those questions. I mean, they're both words that people will understand that, you know, what you're talking about, regardless of which one you use. It's just kind of a personal choice and finding, you know, what you're more comfortable with. All right. What about the negative effects of the characteristics of this season? I mean, Denise, you mentioned it's great as long as the weather is good. But what about if the weather is not good? How are you affected by those negative conditions, and are you negatively affected by them? What do you think, Denise?
Yes, I feel some negative effects. For me, it's very important is the amount of sunlight and combination of shorter days in autumn and bad weather which is a rather usual thing for Moscow in autumn, affects hard on me. So it's hard to keep energy, hard to work intensive way. It's not critical, but I feel myself less comfortable.
Okay, that makes sense. Definitely makes sense. Not feeling quite as comfortable because of that. That, I guess, it depends. Well, I'm trying to think about what you're saying there about feeling comfortable, and it really depends on where I am territorially, because autumn characteristics or conditions are very different depending on where you are in the world. And for me, like you were mentioning, Denise, as long as the weather is okay, I'm pretty much okay. But for example, if I'm living in a climate where there is a big problem with maybe different, well, how do you call it? Like barometric pressure, and you've got that sort of thing, it really affects me quite negatively. And yeah, I struggle. I really do struggle, not just with the weather itself, because rain I'm not particularly bothered by, but if you've got those very harsh conditions, then yes, I'm going to be negatively affected, I suppose, by that. Elia, what about you? I mean, are you negatively affected by fall, autumn at all?
As I also don't like when no, for me it's important whether it is dry or rainy, wet weather. So I don't like rainy weather, especially when it is rainy and cold. Because it is difficult to, I don't know, to move somewhere with children, avoiding getting wet and things like that. And actually, I don't like that. It is something middle, not hot and not cold, and a bit freezing and wet. So I don't like wet, cold weather. I don't mind cold weather, but not wet, cold weather. Damp, it is said, yes.
Yeah, damp weather, that definitely is. Yeah, that's definitely the right thing. That damp weather really kind of can bring you down, I suppose. That's the way you can put it. Or it's just a hassle, right? It's a matter of not feeling comfortable. It's a matter of having this hassle that you have to deal with and figure out. So I understand what you're saying. What about your favorite things about autumn? What are your favorite things about autumn, Elia?
So the favorite thing is about colors. So lots of beautiful colors, and it concerns not only leaves and all that autumn shades, but everything. A different color of fruits, different color of vegetables, and there are really plenty of them. So I think it is the season of harvest. So everything is bringing some results, some fruits and vegetables, and not even fruits and vegetables, but when your projects also bring something good. So I don't know, I think that people, um persons who born in September, it's, I don't know, I think it is so um uh mm, it is so close to nature to be born in September, or just to become pregnant in September. I don't know. So this is my mm, feeling of beginning of autumn.
Okay, are your children born in June or July?
Yes,
Okay,
the first
okay,
one is born in
okay.
June.
All right, all right. What are your favorite things about autumn, Denise?
Um, and at least most of usual thing about colors, of course, appearance of much of fresh vegetables, fruits, and also, but it's not about Moscow. Before I started living in Moscow, in Rostov there was some period of in autumn. As I remember, it's called Indian autumn in English.
Indian summer.
Indian summer, yeah, Indian summer. I forgot. And this time where was sunny weather, but not too hot, not too cold, and it was my favorite temperature, favorite climate time probably. It's a pity that in Moscow autumn is quite more predictable and more smooth. Temperatures start going down step by step, and there is no changing after first cold days, a few times of hot days. So another one thing I love in autumn is Indian summer.
What about specific attributes? You guys, can you? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, but from time to time.
You guys, so the question is what are the specific attributes of autumn where you live?
I'm afraid that internet connection is bad with Daniela.
Yes, seems so.
Again, you are mute, Daniela. You've got the sign mute.
Hello? Hello?
We can hear you
we
well.
can hear you.
You guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, I had to get closer to my router. I think that the connection is really bad. Anyway, but you can hear me now. Yes. No.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that, you guys. All right. So can you please describe the attributes of autumn where you live in Moscow? Denise, let's start with you. Autumn in Moscow, what is it?
I think there is two completely different autumn in Moscow. The first one is autumn in urban areas. It's bad weather, many rains, and some count of muds on roads. And completely different one is autumn in parks or in forest territory around Moscow. It's a pretty season. It's a big amount of different colors on trees. It's a completely different perception of autumn, even if weather is not so good. So if
Okay.
it was, yes.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, but all the leaves, I mean, that's a really popular thing. I know in Moscow at the parks, around Moscow in the parks, people love to make those, wreaths and hair, things out of leaves. I mean, it's a really nice sort of thing to do, isn't it? What about in Samara? What is autumn like in Samara? Elia?
Samara is not so far from Moscow, so I think the weather is almost the same, except that we've got also Volga, and it is a great big river, and we've got that great view in autumn, this huge river, and we can see another side of and on the another side of the river, opposite side, we can see beautiful forests. So being in the center of the city, walking along the embankment, you can one can imagine and adore, not imagine, just how to say it in English. Admire that wonderful forests. I think it's a really great
Appreciate,
opportunity.
take advantage of. Yeah.
Yes, take
Okay.
advantage of seeing that beautiful forests. A really great view.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, where I'm living now, it's kind of hard to say it's autumn because it kind of feels like summer. I don't know. It's already October. And I mean, it feels like maybe the end of August in, say, Moscow. So there's a big difference. I mean, it's still kind of weird. It's 23 degrees outside right now at 6 in the evening. So, it's not cold and it's rather warm, but it's a very tricky type of weather because it'll be kind of cool overnight. And so when you wake up in the morning, you're kind of cold, but then you dress like you should dress for autumn, and then you're roasting all day long because it is, well, it's hot. I don't know what else to say. But yeah, that's basically what it's like in Dalmatia. So the next question that I have is, do you celebrate any holidays during the autumn season? Elliot, do you celebrate any holidays?
In September, in the end of September, I also always mix in or on the in the 24th of September.
On the 24th of September?
On Okay, on on 24th of September, I've got my mother's birthday, and usually the weather is really fine on this day, and um, so this is a family holiday. Also in September, Samara has got in the middle of September a town day, the day of Samara. Mm, what else in September have I got? in September, and on the 1st of September, we begin our school year. It is also very remarkable holiday for every parent and teacher. So that's
Okay, well
what I remember.
that's a pretty big thing for autumn for you. Denise, what about you? Are you, do you celebrate those September holidays, the 1st of September, or City Day in Moscow? When is City Day in Moscow?
City Day of Moscow is the first part of September. This year it was between 8 and 9 of September, but I was not in Moscow on that days. So the celebration came missed from me. Also in autumn, I can remember holidays at the beginning of November. This is still fall.
The Day of National Unity?
Yes, that's the replacement of Day of Great October Revolution.
Yes, exactly. So the Day of National Unity, do you celebrate this? It's a day off at least, right?
I celebrate it, not celebrated, but I use it as additional holiday or additional weekend. I don't know. And I have, it's not probably some celebration, but for me, for a long time, first I feel not good 1st of September because that was first day of starting going to school, also on early part of university, and I still feel nice that I feel myself free, that I have no necessary to go anywhere at the 1st of September.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, I'm trying to think. Celebrating and autumn and holidays. In America, I mean, autumn is really a time for holidays because you've got Halloween, which I'm sure you're all familiar with what Halloween is. It's this, pumpkins and witches and ghosts and maybe scary stuff. And, there are lots of different ways to approach it in Russia. Some people are kind of interested by it, others are completely turned off by it. There's like a lot of different ways to look at it in that sense. But that's definitely a big holiday in America because it is this opportunity for, of course, children to get costumes, to kind of look forward to something after the school year begins, because there isn't really a holiday per se with the 1st of September in America. There's no real holiday when it comes to going back to school or celebration. It's just like kind of like back to school, go and buy stuff, and that's pretty much it. So that Halloween is really a fun thing, especially for children in the autumn. And then there is, of course, in America, Thanksgiving Day. And in Canada, they have a Thanksgiving Day too. In fact, Canada just celebrated their Thanksgiving Day on the 1st of October. That's their sort of thing. So there are these, and then there's the American Thanksgiving Day, which is the third Thursday in November, and that's an opportunity to have a feast, to get together with your family, to just kind of enjoy that being together with your family. So those are really kind of big, I would say, holidays and components and definitions of the season, right? You can't really think about the autumn season without those holidays, at least from an American perspective. And it's a really, really big thing. So it's kind of difficult to, having grown up with that understanding of what, the autumn season is and having those celebrations, it's been kind of difficult not having them for the past, 15 years, just because I haven't lived in the US for that long. So that's an interesting sort of this comparison of what the autumn season is. What about your favorite season of the year? What is your favorite season of the year, Denise, and how does it compare to the fall?
In Moscow, my favorite season is summer and comparable to fall. It's a better temperature and more sunny time, more sunny days, and even more daytime for all days. So, but not in if talk about some more southern regions. So probably fall is my favorite time because it's more growing nature than in spring. Spring it's only beginning of growth time, and it's not so hot as in summer and not so cold as in winter. So I like autumn, but not in Moscow.
I understand. I understand. Well, it's hard, especially if you say that your favorite season is summer, and autumn is kind of like the transition away from summer. It's kind of a like not anti-summer, but it's saying goodbye to summer and that whole sort of transition period. Elia, what about you? What's your favorite summer, and how does it compare? What's your favorite season, and how it compared to autumn?
Okay, summer, yes, summer, of course, great season, but if to take into account that I live in Samara, I don't like summer here. Actually, I don't like climate in Samara at all because it is too cold in winter and too hot in summer. It is called, how is it called? It is uh, continental.
Continental.
It
Continental climate.
continental. Yes, but it is not even continental, but stark, hard continental. Uh, yes, hard, stark,
Hard? How is
continental.
it?
Yes, weather. So I really don't like it because in summer really hot, and I don't like when it is hot, and I don't like when it is cold. I like spring, so not seasons. I like May, and September. I like 2 months. So,
All right, so you
so
like those transitional periods before and after
yes,
summer.
yes. I have never been to or in Tenerife. Not,
In
mm, but people call it like the island of Eva Summer, or not
okay,
summer, spring,
so you'd
spring,
like to be
spring. Yes,
spring, so like always
yes,
spring.
spring.
Okay,
Spring, yes, but not spring in Samara because spring in Samara is also terrible. It is cold, rainy, and wet, almost the same as autumn.
okay, well that's fair. That's fair. I'm trying to think. My favorite season is winter. So I do like the cold. I prefer it when there is snow wherever I'm living in winter. I enjoy it. And that being said, I do enjoy the cold aspects of autumn. For me, hmm, I'm gonna be the opposite of you, Elia, because you like that like month of September when it's still kind of the transition. You know, you still have the components of summer. For me, it's a bit I don't know, it's a bit frustrating because, for example, in September or maybe October, whenever you want to say it, it's still kind of hot, but like I mentioned, with the tricky weather, right? So it's hot that I would feel like, oh, I still can go swimming. You know, I can still go swimming in the sea. But then if you get there, it's like, no, it's way too cold to go swimming. And it's kind of disappointing because they're in that weird stage of, just not quite it's not quite the same thing. So I don't know. Autumn, I like the cold part of autumn because it means that winter is just about here. So I'm the opposite of you in that respect. What about seasonal foods or beverages? Is there anything seasonal you can think of that you enjoy during this time of year? Elia, any seasonal drinks or beverages?
Yes, in September I like eating lots of watermelons and melons. So during all all other parts of the year, it is rather difficult in summer to get some watermelons. Yes, of course it is possible, and some parts of, I don't know, in cans. You can buy it in cans, and you can buy it something. But that original big watermelons, and lots of them, you can buy only in September, in August and September. I really enjoy that.
Okay, that is like the watermelon thing. Are there a lot of watermelons in Samara for sale? Do they have a lot of those little cages with watermelons inside?
Yes, almost every step. So
Okay.
this every, I don't know, 50 meters, I think you have got possibility to buy watermelons.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. Sounds good. So, all right. Denise, what about you? Or is there anything seasonal, any foods or beverages you like during autumn?
I joined earlier. Of course, it's melon and watermelon. I think it's a nationwide feature in Russia because it's a big amount of watermelons and melons in accessible, and only in autumn. There is hard to buy it on reasonable price in any other time. Also, in autumn appears some amount of good local fruits and vegetables, but it also accessible not local for other time. So it's hard to split any autumn specific thing. And I tried, but I can't remember any traditions with some special seasonal food or beverages. I think it's because if you live in a big city, it's not depend much on harvest, on nature around. But for when I was young, I remember it was not a tradition, but it's probably some feature to put. I need. Please wait a moment. I tried to find. I can't remember how this fruit named on English.
What is it exactly?
Mhm. Apricot. But it was there is some kind of local apricots in Rostov. It's smaller, slightly more acid. We called them verdiola. I don't know. Is it?
What is it? What is it? Is it
It is a local name, verdiola. It's a small apricot. It's
like
not.
a kumquat
Yeah,
or something?
apricot. Ap- if I'm not mistaken.
There are apricots and there are also kumquats. Do you know what a kumquat is?
Kumquat is a number. It's a citrus. Not?
Okay, that's not it. Okay, so you're talking about apricot. Okay, apricots, all right.
Yes, and there was at the autumn apricot become ready. How to call spelly?
They are ripe. Ripe.
Sorry,
Ripe.
ripe. Oh, thank you. Become ripe, and there was some local tradition to put ripe apricot in a tea to mix it with sugar. It's some kind of addition to tea, and put it into tea, some kind of fruit tea. And probably it's only autumn specific beverage I can remember.
Okay, so that is something interesting. I ask because there's a big thing in, again, it's in the US, North America, this sort of thing, but the whole idea of pumpkin. Pumpkin is a very seasonal food for autumn, and everything is pumpkin, pumpkin spice, and there's pumpkins everywhere in that sense. And that's kind of what you find everywhere. Pumpkin, pumpkin spice, lots of cinnamon, which is also a very winter sort of thing, but it's the pumpkin which is extremely popular in the autumn season in North America for whatever reason. Again, it's connected with the Halloween holiday, it's connected with the Thanksgiving holiday, it's just ever present in that sort of sense. All right, you guys, do you have any plans for the autumn? Like, what are the sort of things that you like to do? Any sort of activities? Eddie, do you have any activities that you do in the autumn, or is it more of a lazy time for you?
It's not lazy at all. It's just the time, just transforming from lazy time into busy time. So it takes some strength to do that. So it's a time of transforming for me. As for plans, not special plans, just to make some schedule and to make it convenient and to begin living according to that schedule and not disturbing it and being everywhere in time and trying to get pleasure of all that activities.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I mean, it's good taking it easy, just kind of keeping busy and yeah, having that sort of thing. What about you, Denise? Is there any sort of activity that you particularly like doing? Any activities that you do during the autumn?
Probably my most important activities during this autumn will be connected to my work because at the October there will be another step of customer testing for our project. So currently I am trying to put all improvements we do on previous year together and to deliver the best quality of result in our system. So the most important part of my plans is to deliver as much as possible. And probably if I'll get some free time, it's to visit some places around Moscow where leaves on trees become yellow.
All right, that sounds good. I know I like going for walks in the autumn time. I mean, especially in comparison to summer when it's just simply really too hot to do anything except for swim or just lie around the beach or something like that and be inside. I really like that in the autumn time it's possible to go out for a walk, to see the different color leaves, to crunch through the leaves as you're walking. I mean, it's a really kind of nice thing to get to do. And again, I like I like the cold weather and I like wearing coats and jackets and long pants and boots. And these are all kind of things that are fun to do during the autumn. So I do kind of enjoy that in that sense. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that is surrounding autumn that we haven't mentioned. I mean, there's really any ideas, any questions that you guys might have to ask everyone. The floor is open.
So where do you like more, Daniela? Autumn in America or autumn in Croatia?
Well, I mean, autumn in Los Angeles is a weird thing because the weather really doesn't change. That's the thing about Los Angeles. There aren't seasons per se because it's kind of always spring or summer. So I don't know. I mean, it's nicer in Croatia, I suppose, just because you get more of a seasonal change in that sense. What about you guys? Where's your favorite place for autumn? Elliot, where is your favorite place for autumn?
Yeah, as far as I was born in Uzbekistan, autumn was and is there still much more warmer and much more pleasant as for my taste than here in Samara. So I think that we can say that native place is that place where you were born. So I was born there, although it is not a native place for my roots, but still for me personally, it is a native place. So I really miss autumn and especially spring because spring is very beautiful there because of lots of trees blossoming all together.
The trees in Samara or the trees in Uzbekistan?
No, trees in Uzbekistan.
Okay.
I don't know what's wrong with trees in Samara, but not so many of them I can see here. But there they were much more. I don't know what's the reason of that.
Okay. Maybe ecology? Maybe?
I don't know. Maybe Uzbekistan. It was how it is called. Oh, I forgot all the English words for today. Desert. Yes, really, it is desert place, and people really make their best to make hard to improve this place. And here in Samara, the land is, it is so, I don't know, it is so rich of everything that um, it doesn't need to make so much efforts to do something. But I've got another point that in Uzbekistan there is lots of sun, and unfortunately here in Samara not so much sun, though last time here there are lots of sunny days and uh, mm, all in all the whole climate becomes much more warmer than perhaps 10 years ago, and I think it is also not very good um, for this place, because when there were lots of snow and really cold and frosty winter, it was really great. And nowadays, when it is one day +5 and another day -20, it is really, I don't know what is it. I think it's catastrophic.
All right, well, that's fair enough. I mean, that is kind of difficult to kind of figure out what's going on and how to, yeah, dress, adapt, what have you. What about you, Denise? Where's your favorite place for autumn?
Anywhere more southern than now. Greece, Spain, or even Black Sea seashore. There is very very nice weather and very nice temperature in Greece, for example, at autumn. It's not too hot as in summer, and there is a season of storms, and it's beautiful sea, beautiful weather. It's very good time.
Okay, that's good. I don't know, I really liked autumn in Moscow. Again, not when the weather is really wet and difficult, as you were mentioning there, but I don't know, in general, the temperatures I enjoy, and it seems like it's a nice way to transition into the winter. Like I said, I really like that colder weather, so it's kind of nice to have that, and I don't know, the coolness of it all. What about you, Denise? Do you have any questions that you can think of regarding the season, the weather, I don't know, any questions you have?
No, so I can't to suggest any interesting questions now. We can talk about next topic, probably.
we could. Do you guys have any ideas for the next topic?
Yes, I have a suggestion. I suggest to discuss Thanksgiving Day, but American traditions, of course, but also some alternative celebration in different countries. As I remember, a long time ago in Russia, there was also some harvest celebration, but it was disappeared after Soviet Union time. So American traditions with Thanksgiving Day, some local traditions, some interesting features. Probably it was more appropriate to choose this topic for a current yes day, but it's closer. But we can discuss it on next, I think.
We can do that. We can do that. Just kind of looking at, well, the, I guess, traditions or the background of it and foods and traditions.
Yes. And interesting that it's not the most official celebration is usually linked to politics or some historical important thing, political historical thing. But Thanksgiving Day is a very interesting mix of traditional harvest celebration and also important historical event.
Okay. All right. Ellie, what do you think?
It's a very good topic just to discuss. I think that this theme of harvest and giving thanks to nature for all that treasures every nation has.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Okay. So we'll just maybe discuss that and see how that goes. Not necessarily for the occasion of Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving in specific, but like I said, just on the 1st of October, it was the Canadian Thanksgiving Day. And it's, yeah, just kind of that whole idea of the harvest, of the season, of all of the things that we are thankful for, that we do, and what have you. Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, tell me, you guys, how is the weather? How is the autumn weather for you right now in Samara? What is the weather like?
For example, for today, the weather is plus 19 degree above zero, and mm, it is really warm but cloudy. So when you look outside, it seems that it should be cold, but you get out of the house and understand that it's even warmer than in the house because the heating period, the heating season, uh, did
Schedule.
haven't
It's
no
heating
haven't
schedule probably.
no heating a period, or I don't know what.
What
I just remember. I just think about the grammar. What tense is it? Haven't
haven't started or
started yet?
haven't
No.
started yet?
Yes. Okay. So it haven't. It
It
hasn't
hasn't started.
started. Yes, it hasn't started yet. So it's rather cold inside of apartments. Some apartments, for example, my apartment, because my apartment it is called Stalinka in Russian. So this
Okay, the
building
Stalin
was
era building.
yes, how it is called neoclassicism style.
Oh,
So with these thick walls, so it is really cold um, now in and really warm outside. But in general, I think that the weather is preparing for rains and for coldness.
yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. What was that? That was like computer. Okay, what about you in Moscow, Denise? What
It's
weather like?
slightly colder. There is about 10 degrees above zero. and there is total day was rainy. So all the rain was all day. But one of advantage in Moscow is that heating started after temperature in building become less than 20, as I remember. So
Outside.
in Moscow there is no schedule, yes, and in most part of city heating started after become cold.
Okay, so is it cold? I mean, would you feel cold?
Oh yes, no, it's about temperature in houses. So if temperature in houses become some low level, the heating started on most part of city.
Is it automatically?
No, it's of course not automatically, but it is not hard scheduled as for most part of country. In Rostov, there was also a problem because sometimes the first part of autumn was very cold and up to freezes in night. But heating is not started before some scheduled time. But in Moscow, there are no hard schedule, so after become colder, all started works.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, there are very few buildings in Croatia that have this central heating. Where I used to live, we did have it, and we had to wait. I can't remember when they turned it on. I want to say it was in December, maybe, that they turned it on. But it's cold because without the central heating, you really, I guess, yeah, that's the thing in Russia, and you really do feel warm when you're inside because of that central heating, and it's very useful, especially when it's very cold outside. Whereas in Europe, it's really not a thing, you know, heating is not something that's typically done. People are freezing inside their homes, and it's just kind of the way it is. People get blankets, and then even if they have the opportunity to have central heating, they don't want it, which is why we took, anyway, so just kind of a different sort of situation when it comes to heating and what have you. So we don't have heating in the flat where we live now. I'm a bit worried. I hope that it doesn't get too cold, because if it does, I guess we're going to have to get one of those little portable plug-in heaters, you know, those oil heaters, and use that. But for as of now, it's not too cold. Like I said, it was like 23 degrees today, and sun is out, and you're fine. What does it say? Remember Israel. What is this? Are they from anyway? But anyway, yeah, it's definitely warm here, which is nice. I'm trying to think about one other thing about autumn, one other question about autumn. And this is a kind of strange question, maybe, perhaps, but it's something that kind of gets back to me, the differences and where we're living and everything else. But how important would you say that autumn is to your general feeling of change, of changes in the year? Like, where do you think that autumn fits in to that sort of feeling of change? Is it the beginning of the year? Is it the end of the year? Is it the middle? Where do you see that? Where do you see the season of autumn? Denise, what do you feel about that?
So hard questions. To me, beginning of year is of course a time where they start growth. They become longer after the shortest day. It's near fixed day near New Year, and autumn is a ending of the year. And for me, it's very interesting to try to live in place where there is no such big difference between seasons, like in Greece or Israel, where is possible few harvests in a year, there is no such significant change in between seasons.
Okay. Elia, what about you? How do you feel that autumn fits into the whole sort of change of seasons and life and cycle.
So, what does it mean? How do I feel? Do I like or I don't like?
Well, no. What are your feelings
you mean?
about it? What do you think about it?
I don't like that changings really because it causes lots of mess connecting with clothes. Just prepare that clothes for the beginning of autumn, middle autumn, end of autumn, different shoes, different coats, raincoats, fur coats. Really, it is, I don't know. For me, I don't like it. For me, it is much better, really, to live in Israel or even in other in South Asia and without having any weather changes. But I have never lived in such places, so I know that many people are really tired uh, of I don't know how to say it when it is all one season all the year round, so they like that
Without
changes.
seasons, right? Not having seasons.
Yes, without seasons, they feel I don't know what do they feel, but I would like trying it really.
Okay. Yeah. 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 I mean, I don't know. I personally really do like having different seasons, just having grown up where you don't have them. It really is nice to have the different clothes, to feel different. I don't know. I mean, like I physically feel different when it's a different season of the year, if that makes any sense. If it is hot, I mean, when it comes to what you're eating or what you're doing, all of these things to me are very much related to what the temperature and what the, just basic weather is like outside. So for me, I don't know, I see autumn as this, again, this transitional period, transition from summer, which is hot, which typically, I mean, I'm not such a fan of just because, like I said, I can't really do much in summer. I just feel exhausted and it's hot and, I don't want to get a heat stroke or something like that. So I'm not particularly a fan of summer, although I do like swimming and I do a lot of swimming in the summer. But it's a transition period to the winter, which I said, like, I really do like. And for me, it's that for me, it's that period where, okay, you're getting those new things, the new harvest and stuff like that, and you're going to get that food. And again, maybe that's tying into what we'll talk about next week about these, autumn celebrations, Thanksgiving and harvest and what have you, because there are, as we mentioned, there are several cultures that have that. So you guys, I mean, I think that we have talked about a lot today. I'm sorry for that technical problem earlier. It's still not clear why I had 2 bars on my Wi-Fi thing, but I guess it happens. So we will plan then for next Wednesday at the same time.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Okay. All right, you guys. Well, then I want to wish you all a very, I guess, happy rest of the week. And I guess it's not quite. Is it hat season yet? Do you have to wear hats when you go out or no? No hats yet.
No hats because, for example, last period I've got just hood and and it is much more convenient for me just to wear hood.
Wear a hood instead. Okay. Denise, do you wear hats or no?
No, I prefer. If it's possible, I feel not comfortable to wear hat.
Okay.
So I try to wait as long as possible.
I see.
After first freezes.
I see. All right. Waiting as long as possible. All right. All right. Just, don't get cold, don't get sick, you guys. Stay well. Stay well. All right. I want to thank you all for participating today. It was a very interesting conversation. We talked about the season, our feelings about it. And next time, again, we'll talk about those festivals, that harvest and Thanksgiving and what have you. So come with your questions too. All right. See you guys next week.
I'll try.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.